Jumping into the number 5 spot of the best budget wireless gaming headsets, this is the SteelSeries Arctis 1. Coming in at a price tag of $79.36. There will be Amazon links below for all 5 headsets in this video for the US, UK, Canada, and international links linked below. But that $79.36 is at the current time of filming. When I purchased these, I think they're around 70 bucks. So do check below for current pricing. But let's start it off with the build quality. Build quality here is really good. They look very clean and understated, which I really like. They have an adjustable metal band and the earmuffs swivel so they can lay flat around your neck, which I will say they're nice and wide when they sit flat, so you can very comfortably wear them just hanging them around your neck. They don't press against your neck. It's very comfortable, so that's great. The earmuffs are a nice soft fabric, which is nice to keep the temperature down during long gameplay sessions, especially when compared to your average faux leather earmuffs, where they are better for isolation, but they do get pretty hot and sweaty sometimes. This also has a detachable mic, and while it's not flop city here, it doesn't stay perfectly where you place it, so you do have to fiddle with it a little bit, but it still stays pretty good. Now, as for controls, on the right side, there is a power button. You can also play and pause music or switch tracks. And then on the left side, there is a mic mute switch, volume wheel, 3.5mm jack, and a micro USB for charging. No USB Type-C here. Kind of a zonk, but not too big of a deal. Now, as for connectivity, obviously these are full wireless with either a 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle, which is probably what you're gonna want, or you can use that 3.5mm audio jack. And to note, that USB dongle is actually a USB Type-C dongle, which is cool because you can use it with things like the Switch, but there is a USB Type-A cable that then goes to USB Type-C. So that is kind of an adapter in case you don't have a Type-C on your PC. So that's good. Now for the battery, this claimed about 20 hours of usage, and after testing, it's pretty much right in that range. So that's great. Pretty common that it's gonna hit close to the range if it doesn't have any RGB on the headset, which this one does not. Now, sound quality, one of the most important sections. Sound quality out of the box is atrociously bad. Like it's pretty bad. You need to download their EQ app, which is like their SteelSeries engine or whatever they like to call it. So once you change the EQs around and fiddle with all the settings, how is it? It's got good bass, although when I did tune it to the level that I wanted, there was a little bit of some weird muddiness going on. However, not too big of a deal. The mids and trebles reacted very well to the EQ tuning though, and they're nice and crispy without being over boosted, obviously. Just don't over boost them in the EQ. So after that, it's actually quite good, but absolutely, if you're just getting these out of the box and then expecting to use them without doing the EQ, well, just don't get them. You must do the EQ. It's not a big deal. It only takes 30 seconds, but definitely a must for this headset. Okay, now as for comfort, it's good here. The earmuffs are soft, and there's also this soft fabric covering them. There's a faux leather top band that is comfortable. Now, the only thing that I don't find super comfortable is that they press a little bit too much against my head, like a little bit too much tension. Now, again, as I started to kind of, you open them up a little bit, you widen them, and they sit a little bit better on your head. However, gaming for super long sessions, 3 hours plus, I would occasionally take them off and kind of just, give my ears a break. But again, for me, they might have been pressing too hard because I do have glasses on, so my ears do get affected a little bit differently there. However, if you have a smaller head, this is gonna be a non-issue, like not at all. But I will say, all of the headsets on the list are very comfortable. Like none of them are uncomfortable at all. When testing these, I really focused the majority on sound quality balanced with mic quality and obviously price, but the comfort here on all of them is very good. We're talking about mic quality, let's talk about it. The mic quality here is muffled, but it's good. And I mean that because there's not a whole lot of great mics on headsets in this price range. They're significantly better than your average budget headset that is wired, but the budget wireless headsets, they're pretty good, but it definitely is muffled. However, all of the headsets except for one on the list have like an eerily similar mic quality. Like they almost all sound so similar that it may not even be a differentiating factor, at least for this list. But don't take my word for it. Take a listen to the SteelSeries Arctis 1s.
This is the mic test for the SteelSeries Arctis 1 wireless. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
And that is how they sound. All right, before we move on to the number 4 spot, it is compatible with PC, PlayStation, Mac, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox in the only wired mode. So you have to plug it in with that 3.5mm jack. But with that, let's move on to the number 4 spot, which is the Corsair Void RGB Elite Wireless. That's a mouthful. Coming in at a price tag of $74.99 at the time of filming. The build quality here is very, very good. It is incredibly solid. Now, the negative side of this is that it makes this headset the heaviest on the list. It is quite heavy. Now, they have this super strong, and I mean, it is very, very sturdy. These metal arms that connect the earmuffs to the top band. The headset overall is very well put together and feels like it could take a hell of a beating. I mean that. If you are someone who rage quits, this is not gonna have a problem at all. I mean, these are very solid. If you throw your headset, I don't recommend doing it, but you probably could with these a lot of times. Now, the mic arm is not removable here, but it does flip up 90 degrees. The earmuffs also have this great fabric on them, similar to the SteelSeries, but actually significantly softer here. Not that the SteelSeries wasn't soft, but this is like quite soft. I really do enjoy it. Now, these can also fold flat, having those ear cuffs turn in and then sit on your neck, but because of that mic angle, you can't really comfortably set them around your neck. Doesn't really work too well. All right, now as for controls, on the left earmuff, there is a on and off button, and then a mic mute button. Then on the left side, there is a volume wheel that if you press it in, it can cycle through different EQ settings. And then obviously there is the micro USB charging port. Again, no USB Type-C here. Now, similar to the SteelSeries, you can also download Corsair's IQ software. That's what they call it, IQ. And that can change lighting color, because this does have RGBs. They're not super bright, but they are kind of cool. You can change different effects. You can change the EQ settings. And I think you can even upload your EQ settings to the headset itself. You can preset all your EQ settings. Highly recommend doing that. That is a very big draw for this headset for sure. You can also change the mic's sensitivity and stuff like that. Very cool. Now, as for the battery life, they claim 16 hours, but that claim 16 hours is with no RGB on. If you have RGB on, it's gonna be significantly less. Now, for connectivity, this is only with that 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle. This is USB Type-A dongle, and it is very large. There's nothing bad about that, but it's very large. All right, but let's move on to the sound quality. The sound quality here is passable with how they come from the factory. So similar to the SteelSeries. Bass is lacking and the mids and trebles are pretty muffled. So after tuning the EQ, the bass sounds much better, but the higher frequencies get muddy if you over boost them. And I was setting them to a point where that's really where I wanted them, but it was a little bit over boosted. Now again, I am being nitpicky. All of the headsets on the list sound quite good. That's why they're on the list. But comparatively to the other headsets, this one is still very good, but get a little bit muddy after being tuned in the EQ, IQ software. That's a mouthful. But yeah, you can get this to sound pretty dang good, and well, we'll talk about the comfort, but it's quite comfortable. But yeah, just make sure that you get the IQ software if you get these similar to the SteelSeries. There are headsets on the list where you don't really need any software at all, and they're, well, maybe even better that way. All right, but let's talk comfort here. Comfort here is actually really, really comfortable. These are definitely noticeably heavier than the other headsets on this list, and that's really the only negative here with comfort. They support the weight quite well, but you can't ever escape, well, there being more weight on your head. However, some of you may think, well, the really good build quality is worth the heaviness. So that's totally up to you and how you want to weigh that. The earmuffs are large, and like I said, the fabric is super soft and the foam under there is very plush. The head strap pad is also super, super plush and wrapped in the same soft fabric. Long gaming sessions, 3 hours plus like that. No noticeable fatigue on the ears themselves or anything like that. Now, as for the mic, this is probably the best mic quality I would say on the list. But like I said, they're so eerily similar that it doesn't really matter except for one on the list. But yeah, it's so subjective. They're so similar. And because they're so similar, we're gonna have a back-to-back mic test at the end of the video, so you guys can kind of go through there if you're really big on the mics. But don't take my word for it. Take a listen to the Corsair Void RGB Elite Wireless. Take a listen.
Testing the Corsair Void Elite Wireless headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
And that is how it sounds. For compatibility, this is compatible with PC, Mac, and PlayStation, but not Xbox. And with that, let's move on to the number 3 spot, which is, crazy enough, the Logitech G435 LIGHTSPEED. This is an awesome headset coming in at a price tag of $29.99. That is currently at the time of filming. This headset retails for around $80, but I have seen it consistently at $29.99, which is an unreal price tag. For that price, the build quality feels very premium and it has some cool colorways. You can get it in more of just a black colorway, but it also has this purple and then a very out there deep purple pink colorway, which I just love all of them. I think they're all very cool. The headset is extraordinarily light at only 165 grams. Now think about that. I think the Logitech G502 weighs the same as this headset. A mouse weighs the same as this headset. That's crazy. Okay, so this is unbelievably good for long gaming sessions. Even with this, the headset feels super well put together without feeling cheap. The earmuffs also adjust in this really smooth, satisfying way that's just very cool. Logitech did an unbelievably good job here. I find myself navigating to this as if I need a headset to just pick up and put on, I usually just pick up this one. Even though it's way less expensive than a lot of my headsets by multiple times, this is just one of the ones that I pick up. So really special headset. Okay, as for the controls, there is a power button on the left side, along with a volume up and down and a mic mute button. Then there is also a USB Type-C for charging. We like that Type-C. Now for this, there's no EQ software. Obviously you probably could download some they call them aftermarket EQ, some custom EQ software, but this does not work with Logitech G Hub. So it comes how it comes. It's not really a con though, and we'll talk about that. Now for connectivity, this uses a 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle, or it also works with Bluetooth. That's very nice to have. Very, very good to have actually if you want to use your headset for more than just gaming. This is one that you could definitely do that and just go out in the world and just listen to music. College dorm stuff. I don't know, but definitely one that you could do that with. Now the dongles range here, I haven't talked about it with the other ones, but this one, unbelievable, like unreal how good it is. Logitech has some of the best wireless technology in mice headsets and everything out there. They're just super spot on with that. Now with the battery, they claim like 18 hours of usage, but I've been able to go quite a bit longer than that during my actual testing. So I don't know what that is there, but really good battery life for the price. Now, as for the sound quality, this is important because again, it doesn't come with that EQ software, the Logitech G Hub. So how is it? There is good bass. The mids and trebles are a little teeny bit muddy, but honestly, better sound quality than the previous two. So you're thinking, well, that's very good. And yeah, it's really surprisingly good. You would think, oh, this is a very budget headset. It doesn't perform like that at all, except in one category. But the sound quality here is really freaking good. It's the best sound quality I've ever heard anywhere near this price point, and that includes wired headsets. Like, it's just really pretty amazing. Now, the comfort here is fantastically good. They are super light, and because of that, that's the reason it's stupid comfortable. Your ears fit inside, the earmuffs feel really nice, they're pretty plush, it doesn't press too hard against your head, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna fall off. These are by far the most comfortable pair of headset on the list. They are stupid comfortable. If you're doing super long gaming sessions, and I mean not 3 hours plus, but like 6 hours plus, all night gaming, LAN party stuff, this is no problem at all. You never even feel fatigue when taking the headset off. Okay, so what's the catch? And that is the mic quality. The mic is trash here. Now it's legible, but it literally is, it sounds kind of like a laptop mic. If you've ever been on Discord with your friend and they have a gaming laptop and they haven't plugged their headset in yet, yeah, that's what it sounds like. But don't take my word for it. Take a listen to the Logitech G435 LIGHTSPEED mic. Take a listen.
This is the mic test for the Logitech G435 wireless LIGHTSPEED. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
And that is how it sounds. Yeah, it's a mic, it exists. For compatibility, it's compatible with PC, Mac, PlayStation with a 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle, so wirelessly with a PlayStation, iOS, Android, and Nintendo Switch with Bluetooth, and no Xbox. All right, but moving on to the number 2 spot, this is the HyperX Cloud Flight, coming in at a current price tag of $79.99. That is at the time of filming. Build quality here is mainly plastic, but it's very, very dense, and like the Corsair, could definitely take quite a bit of abuse. There are metal bands for the adjustability, and there is an exposed cable that looks very cool. It is also nice and thick. So the build quality here, just overall, just very quality. a lot of plastic, but very like well put together. Now the earmuffs themselves are pleather and they're pretty soft, but not quite as plush as I would like. However, for some reason that doesn't really affect the comfort as it's quite good. And you can also fold these and rest them on your neck very, very comfortably. Maybe these are the most comfortable to sit there on your neck. No pressure against your neck, nothing like that. Really great. Now for the controls on the left, there is a power button that also changes the side RGB effects because it does have a little bit of RGB and it's quite bright in classic HyperX fashion. Very, very bright. I like that. There's a 3.5mm jack and then a micro USB for charging. Again, no USB-C here. Then on the right, there is a volume wheel, and as well on the outside of the left earmuff is a mic mute button. There's also no EQ software here. You can see that in HyperX Ingenuity, that's their software, but I don't believe you can change any of the EQ settings, but you obviously could download a separate EQ app. Now for connectivity, this uses a 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle, or you can use it with a wired connection with the 3.5mm jack, obviously. You can just hook it up with a cable. Now the battery claims up to 30 hours of battery. I get around 25 hours with the LED being off or the RGB being off. When it is on, depending on the RGB setting, whether it's on kind of like a breathing or something, I'm getting between like 13 and 18 hours. So just leave it off and quite good battery life, honestly, especially comparatively. Now, as for sound quality, let's talk about it. Firstly, great bass performance, although not as impressive as the #1 spot, but still better than all the others on the list. The trebles here are slightly muddy, but still the second best sound quality for sure on the list. However, pretty dang close to the Logitech. Those were very impressive. Now, as for comfort, it's actually really good here. The faux leather muffs feel great. My ears do hit the inside of the cans, but they did put a much thicker foam inside, so it's not uncomfortable at all. Now, after 3 hours of gaming, those longer gaming sessions, I did have a little bit of fatigue just because of the compression again. I would take them off for a few seconds and kind of, let my ears kind of adjust and then put them back on. Not too big of a deal, but if you're going 3 hours plus, I probably would look into the Logitech or the #1 spot or the Corsair. The comfort there is a little bit better for those long gaming sessions. However, my girlfriend has a smaller head and she had no problem for long periods of time. So again, head size does matter here. Now, mic quality, like I said, this is one of those 4. They're so similar, it's ridiculous. But yeah, just take a listen to the mic. I think it sounds good as the other ones. It's very hard to rank them. They're so similar. But yeah, take a listen to the mic.
Testing the HyperX Cloud Flight wireless headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
That is how it sounds. As for compatibility, it's compatible with PC, PlayStation, Mac, and Xbox when it is in that wired section with a 3.5mm audio cable. But with that, let's move on to the #1 spot, which is the Razer Barracuda X. Coming in at a price tag of $99.99. You might think that's not budget, but well, for wireless gaming headsets that don't suck, it kinda is. The build quality here is a great middle ground between durability, understated styling, and an overall well put together headset. It has metal bands, it's got a plush faux leather headband padding, fabric earmuffs, really everything you want here, and the overall design and look of it, I think it's probably the best looking out of all of them. Now this does have a detachable mic, and when you place it in one position, it stays immediately. It's perfect. This is the best detachable mic on the list as far as like quality of life goes. Small thing, but well, it's big if you're gonna be using it every day. Now these do fold flat, but they are not at all comfortable. They fold flat the opposite way, so if you're wearing them, they fold that way. Now as for controls, on the left side, there is a mic mute button, a volume wheel, and then an on and off button that also doubles as your mode selection button for connectivity purposes there. There's also a 3.5mm audio jack, and then a USB Type-C for charging. We got the USB Type-C. You can also download the Razer Audio app on your phone for changing the EQ settings, seeing your battery life, and enabling a do not disturb, which blocks like calls and stuff during gaming, which is a little bit weird, but I guess it's there if you want it. However, you cannot use Razer Synapse with this, so no Razer Synapse there. A lot of people will love this actually. But here is the kicker. Battery life, very impressive, by far the best on the list. Now Razer claims 50 hours. I was getting closer to 60 hours of usage. That is incredibly impressive. That's like travel headphones impressive, and this is a gaming headset. So That's really good. But next, and this is by far the most impressive thing about this headset, is the sound quality. First of all, like I said, no EQ setting changing necessary here. This comes like it should be used. The sound quality is by far the best on the list, and it was just surprising how good it was. A very balanced sound between the great low frequency response and the higher frequency response. Bass is punchy and deep without being overbearing and muddy. The mids and trebles were clean, they were not muffled, and they weren't overly sharp. This is an incredibly enjoyable headset to use with music as well as gaming. It just sounds epic. It is a different experience because of how much better the low frequency response, really that's what it is, and then balanced with the higher frequency responses, it's just a really good experience. So it is a little bit more, it is the most expensive on the list, but if you do want something that, well, has the battery life and everything, it probably is worth it. Except if you're going with the Logitech, that's a whole lot less expensive and an incredible headset for the money. Okay, but let's talk comfort. The comfort is great here. They don't press too tightly against my head. They're not loose, obviously. The fabric earmuffs keep it cool during long, hot gaming sessions. They aren't too heavy. The top band is also super plush. It was very enjoyable to use for those 3-hour plus gaming sessions without any fatigue. So that's great for comfort. And also this was tested with both with glasses on and with contacts in. So it passed both of those tests, 3 hours plus. Very impressive. Now, as for mic quality, like I said, they're so stupid similar. I'd probably rank this number 3 or number 2 or number 1. They're so similar, it's ridiculous. So take a listen for yourself. This is how the Razer Barracuda X mic sounds.
Testing the Razer Barracuda X Razer headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
That is how it sounds. And as for compatibility, this is compatible with PC, PlayStation, Switch, Android, Mac, iOS, and Xbox, only with that 3.5mm audio cable. But again, if you want to check out any of the 5 headsets in this video, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. I really like all of these headsets, but if I was gonna pick 2, I think it's clear for value purposes, the Logitech is stupid good if you don't want a fantastic mic, and then if you have the money, splurge and get that Barracuda X. That sound quality is ridiculously good. But if you have just a little bit less money, the HyperX or any of them, you really can't go wrong, and some of it's about personal preference and what you want in your gaming headset. You really can't go wrong with any of the 5. But this is a consumer tech review. Take a listen to the back-to-back mic test.
This is the mic test for the SteelSeries Arctis 1 wireless. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Testing the Corsair Void Elite wireless headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
This is the mic test for the Logitech G435 wireless LIGHTSPEED. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Testing the HyperX Cloud Flight wireless headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Testing the Razer Barracuda X Razer headset. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.